Any vessels in the area? Was there?
Standing by on 16.
Yeah, I've got a position on that, Mayday.
Come on, Keith.
Titan Explorer.
Deadliest Catch is so much more than just a reality show. These people are risking their lives every single day during the hunting season, battling against the forces of nature and the harsh Bering Sea itself. Many don't realize this. Out on these treacherous waters, every haul of crab means life or death. But who knew that the crew's most harrowing battles didn't always happen at sea? Once the cameras stopped rolling, the real challenges began for some of the most recognizable Deadliest Catch cast members. These battles were the ones that they couldn't weather with life jackets or safety lines. Join us as we uncover their shocking fates, some losing their lives, others ending up behind bars. Number 1. Captain Phil Harris. Captain Phil Harris helmed the Cornelia Marie and was a staple in the early seasons of Deadliest Catch. Phil was a no-nonsense leader with a wicked sense of humor. He was a fisherman through and through, and he led his crew with raw authenticity and a deep love for his sons, Josh and Jake. So his sudden passing was a gut punch to fans around the world. On February 9, 2010, while unloading his boat in Alaska, Phil suffered a massive stroke. Although he was airlifted to the hospital and even cracked jokes with his sons in the days that followed, complications set in, and just 11 days later, he passed away at the age of 53. The Cornelia Marie struggled without him, but his legacy lived on through his sons, who stepped in to carry on the family's fishing business. Phil's death marked the first major loss for the Deadliest Catch family and set the stage for the emotional toll that followed. Number 2. Jake Harris. Moving on from Phil, his son Jake was also dealt a pretty rough hand. Jake was a rising star on the Cornelia Marie. Fans watched him grow from a quiet deckhand to a dedicated fisherman over the course of several seasons. But after his father's death, his life took a dark turn. In 2016, Jake was the victim of a brutal robbery and assault. After catching a ride from a couple he had befriended at a Washington casino, he was attacked and left on the side of the highway with serious head injuries, including a cracked skull. He was lucky to survive, but the attack left lasting scars. The suspects were arrested, and Jake's family was left reeling from the trauma. Sadly, that wasn't the end of Jake's troubles. His battles with addiction continued to plague him, and in 2019, he was arrested after leading police on a high-speed chase in Washington state. He was found with illegal substances and a stolen firearm, which led to multiple felony charges. He later pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Jake's story remains one of the most heartbreaking, especially for fans who had watched him grow up. Number 3. Melan Reyes. Melan Reyes wasn't as popular as some of the other stars of Deadliest Catch, but his calm personality and hard-working attitude earned him respect from both the crew and fans. He first appeared in Season 8 as a deckhand and worked on both the Seabrook and Cape Caution between 2012 and 2020. Known for his work on the Seabrook and Cape Caution, Melan kept to himself off-camera, focusing on his young family and his work as a fisherman. Sadly, his life was cut short when he died unexpectedly in 2020 at the age of just 38 years old. Initially, it seemed like a tragic but natural loss. But before fans could cope with the loss, later reports confirmed that substance abuse was involved. The reality star was on life support for a few days before his family made the tough decision of taking him off it. He is survived by his wife, Heather, and 4 children. Just 5 months after Melan's passing away, Deadliest Catch fans had to deal with another tough blow. Number 4. Nick Mlashen. Nick Mlashen was a fan favorite, known for his hard work and dedication as a deck boss on the Summer Bay. He was respected for his toughness and knowledge of the Bering Sea, but underneath that tough exterior, Nick was struggling. In 2013, Nick left the show to receive treatment for his addiction issues, and it's safe to say that the fans felt his void. For years, it seemed like Nick was on the path to recovery. He wrote openly about his struggles and even returned to the show looking healthier and more focused than ever. But tragically, in December 2020, Nick was found dead in a Nashville hotel room. He passed away from an overdose at the young age of 33. Nick's death, just 5 months after his friend Melan Reyes, left fans devastated. His story serves as a stark reminder of the power of addiction and the ongoing battles many face behind the scenes. Number 5. Captain Tony Lara. When Deadliest Catch fans were reeling from the loss of Captain Phil Harris, the Cornelia Marie needed a new leader to guide the crew through the stormy seas. Enter Tony Lara, a veteran crab fisherman who was no stranger to the treacherous waters of the Bering Sea. In Season 7, Tony stepped in as the new captain of the Cornelia Marie, a role he would take on after Phil's tragic passing in 2010. Brought on by Phil's son, Josh Harris, Tony's leadership was both comforting and essential in a time of uncertainty for the crew. Tony appeared in 6 episodes during the season, with his final appearance in the episode titled Mohawks and Madness, Goodness and Gladness. He quickly earned the respect of his crew, and his presence provided a much-needed sense of stability for the Cornelia Marie. He was a mentor to Josh and Jake Harris, and was always there to support their family. Sadly, Tony's time in the spotlight ended earlier than it should have. 2 years after his final appearance on the show, while attending the famous motorcycle rally in Sturgis, South Dakota, Tony passed away unexpectedly from a heart attack on August 8, 2015, at the age of 50. His time on the show was relatively short, but his impact is felt to this day. Number 6. Blake Painter. Captain Blake Painter was one of the original cast members on the show who brought his skill and leadership to the Maverick. First appearing in the 2nd season, Blake quickly earned his place as the youngest captain in the fleet at just 38 years old. His youthful energy and natural talent made him a standout. Blake's time on Deadliest Catch was brief, with only 10 episodes spanning the 2nd and 3rd seasons, but he wasted no time in becoming a fan favorite. However, his life told a completely different story behind the scenes. The demands of the job, coupled with the intense pressures of being in the public eye, led Blake to step away from the spotlight. Unfortunately, what followed was a painful battle that many didn't see coming. After leaving the show, Blake struggled with substance abuse, and that led him to a downward spiral like no other. In 2018, Blake was arrested for DUI in Oregon, which just wasn't in character for the strong captain the fans knew him as. But things were only going to get worse. On May 25, 2018, 11 years after leaving Deadliest Catch, Blake's body was discovered at his home in Astoria, Oregon, by a close friend who had grown concerned after not hearing from him. Authorities reported that there were no signs of foul play or suspicious circumstances. It appeared that Blake had passed away a day or two before his body was found. He was 38 years old. Toxicology reports later confirmed that he passed away due to excess controlled substances in his system. He left behind 2 daughters who would have to grow up without their father, a tragic consequence of a life weighed down by personal struggles. Number 7. Joshua Tel Warner. Joshua Tel Warner's time on Deadliest Catch was brief but unforgettable. Known for his fiery temper and confrontations with fellow crew members aboard the Wizard, Joshua was involved in quite a few dramatic moments on screen, but who knew that behind the cameras, his life was even more so? In 2010, Warner's name made headlines for an entirely different reason. After his brief stint on Deadliest Catch, he became a fugitive, wanted for a series of bank robberies across Oregon. His criminal activities were a stark contrast to the values of the show, which is why this came as such a shock. Warner had been linked to 3 bank heists, including a robbery at Washington Mutual Bank in 2007 and 2 at Pacific Continental Bank in 2009. What made Warner's case even more intriguing was the fact that he had openly boasted about his criminal past while filming Deadliest Catch. According to former crew members, Warner had mentioned that his time in the spotlight could very well bring his criminal history to the surface, and that's exactly what happened. In December 2009, authorities issued a warrant for Warner's arrest, and just days later, he was apprehended in East Peoria, Illinois, after being pulled over during a routine traffic stop. Police arrested him and charged him with his role in the robberies. Number 8. The crew of the destination. Danger is a constant companion when the crews are sailing the Bering Sea on Deadliest Catch, and the tragedy of the destination remains one of the most heartbreaking moments in the show's history. In February 2017, the destination set out on what should have been a routine return journey after landing a massive 200-pound crab pot haul. But what was meant to be a successful trip turned into one of the darkest chapters in the history of Alaskan crab fishing. The vessel was weighed down by an estimated 340,000 pounds of ice that had accumulated on its decks. Instead of anchoring to address the ice buildup, the crew continued to push forward, hoping to stay on schedule. Tragically, this decision proved to be fatal. The excess weight caused the ship to capsize, and this resulted in the deaths of 6 crew members: Captain Jeff Hathaway, Kai Hammock, Derek Seibold, Larry O'Grady, Raymond Winkler, and Charles G. Jones. What makes the tragedy even more heartbreaking is that the bodies of the 6 men were never recovered. It took nearly a month for the men to be legally declared dead after a presumptive death hearing. The wreckage of the destination was found off the coast, but no remains were ever located. This tragedy took place during Deadliest Catch's 13th season, but it was not captured on camera. However, the story was told in the powerful episode Lost at Sea, which shared the devastating news with viewers. Number 9. Gerald Secrist. Gerald Secrist appeared in Season 10 as a deckhand aboard the Northwestern. Despite his limited screen time, fans quickly took notice of his struggles to keep up with the fast-paced and dangerous nature of life at sea. But turns out, that was because his life was unraveling behind the scenes. Reports soon surfaced that he was struggling with addiction, which is why he didn't make for a very good deckhand on the sea. His eventual departure from the show was followed by a string of legal troubles, as Jared was arrested multiple times in Florida on charges related to substance use and theft. His arrests were linked to his addiction, and in one incident, he was even accused of participating in organized retail theft. As of 2025, Jared remains entangled in the legal system, and his career as a fisherman seems to have faded far into the background of all the turmoil. Number 10. Ross Jones. Ross Jones was another fan favorite who first appeared on the saga and quickly became known for his positive attitude and sense of humor. Many fans admired his ability to maintain a light-hearted attitude in the face of danger. So his death came as a sudden and devastating shock. In June 2022, Ross passed away, and his death was reported by the Deadliest Catch World Facebook group. However, the details surrounding it remained under wraps, as his family and friends chose to keep certain aspects of his passing private out of respect. Ross's death added to the growing list of Deadliest Catch cast members who had faced untimely and tragic losses. His passing, though not as widely covered as some others, still left a significant mark on the Deadliest Catch crew and fans. He is survived by his partner Chloe and their son. Number 11. Todd Kochin. Another young life lost too soon was that of Todd Kochin, a beloved crew member aboard the Patricia Lee. Todd's tragic death in 2021 marked one of the most devastating accidents in recent Deadliest Catch history. On February 26, 2021, while working on the Patricia Lee, Todd was fatally injured when he was crushed by an 800-pound crab pot. Todd was just 30 years old at the time of his death, and his loss was especially heartbreaking because he was just beginning to make his mark on the series. His death occurred during the filming of Deadliest Catch's 17th season, but it was obviously not immediately captured on screen. Todd's passing is a serious reminder of the dangers faced by the men and women who dare to sail the Bering Sea during hunting season. Number 12. Keith Anderson. Keith was the father of Jake Anderson, a fan-favorite deckhand who joined the Northwestern. While Keith himself was never a part of the Deadliest Catch cast, his disappearance and eventual death are key moments in Jake's storyline. In 2010, Keith Anderson mysteriously disappeared. Jake was at sea, filming for the show, when he learned that his father had gone missing. Despite extensive efforts to locate him, Keith remained missing for 2 years. It wasn't until 2012 that Keith's remains were found in a wooded area near Seattle. His death was ruled as suspicious, though the cause remains undetermined to this day. Number 13. Captain Gary Kochin Jr. The world of deep-sea fishing is not for the faint of heart, and Captain Gary Kochin's story is one of the most tragic incidents that the Deadliest Catch family has ever faced. In 2020, Captain Gary Kochin, who had been a veteran crabber for many years, tragically lost his life when the Scandi Rose, the boat he was captaining, sank off the coast of Alaska. On New Year's Eve, 2019, Captain Kochin and his crew set out on a routine fishing mission in the Gulf of Alaska. The mission, which was meant to target cod and crab, quickly turned into a disaster. As the Scandi Rose battled 20-foot waves, icy conditions, and high winds, the vessel began to take on water, and ice began to accumulate on the deck. This created a dangerous situation, with the boat starting to list, tilting dangerously to one side. Despite the worsening weather conditions, Gary didn't seem alarmed during his last phone call with his ex-girlfriend that evening. She recalled that he told her the boat was icing and had a slight list, but he didn't seem scared or worried. Tragically, just hours later, the Scandi Rose capsized, taking Gary and 5 others with it. The captain, his son David, and 4 other crew members passed away in the tragic accident, with only 2 survivors left to tell the tale. Number 14. Justin Tennyson. Justin Tennyson was a deckhand on the Time Bandit, first appearing on Deadliest Catch during the show's 7th season in 2011. His career was only beginning when his life came to an unfortunate end at the age of 33. After several days without contact, some of his fellow crew members became concerned when he failed to respond to their phone calls and messages. On February 22, 2011, Justin's body was found in his hotel room in Anchorage, Alaska, where he had been staying while on a break from filming. The cause of death was later determined to be complications from sleep apnea, a condition that can cause pauses in breathing during sleep, leading to serious health risks. Justin's loss continues to hit hard to this day because he was a talented young man who was taken far too soon. Number 15. Edgar Hansen. Edgar Hansen, the deck boss of the Northwestern and brother to Captain Sig Hansen, was a familiar and respected figure on Deadliest Catch. Known for his strong work ethic and extensive knowledge of the Bering Sea, Edgar played a key role on the show, often seen navigating the treacherous waters alongside his brother. His years on the show earned him a place as one of the most recognizable faces in the Deadliest Catch crew. However, in 2018, Edgar's life took a dramatic and unsettling turn. He pleaded guilty to charges of fourth-degree assault involving a young girl. The victim, referred to as Jane Doe, came forward, revealing that Edgar had assaulted her in September of that year. In a handwritten statement, Edgar admitted to the claims, and that was the beginning of his downfall. As part of a plea agreement, Edgar received a 364-day suspended jail sentence and was ordered to pay court fines and fees totaling $1,653. Additionally, he was required to undergo evaluation and treatment. Following this incident, Edgar Hansen was obviously no longer part of Deadliest Catch, marking the end of his long-standing involvement with the show. The scandal surrounding his conviction cast a shadow over the Deadliest Catch family, deeply affecting both his career and his personal life. The Deadliest Catch crew deals with challenges that test their resilience in ways most can't even imagine. Which of these stories touched you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.